The Acolyte is back. Star Wars is apparently gay now. Critics are paid shills. The audience is sexist, again. And lesbian witches are force-fertilizing wombs. Yeah, we have a lot to talk about. Following the glorious fail, that was the Acolyte's premiere of 2 dull, unimaginative, poorly written episodes, filled with tedious exposition, cringe-inducing characters and the most predictable plotline of the year. It is time for Disney to jumpstart the mass copium and shift the blame towards anyone but the creators of the bad product. I'm gonna go through episode 3 here in a moment, but I have to talk about how Disney is handling this, because it follows a tradition that is starting to wear out. Remember Rey, everyone's favorite protagonist?
I bypassed the compressor.
Yeah, if you don't like her, you're sexist. Remember Reva, the terrible villain of the Obi-Wan show, with the most obvious character arc and the galaxy's best immune system? Yeah, if you don't like her, you're racist. What's that? You're saying the issue isn't their gender or race, but poor writing, dialogue, action scenes, CGI, and directing? Sorry, I can't hear you, because the public discourse has already shifted towards the pointless, narcissistic culture war Disney forced into the world of Star Wars by basing every media outlet out there to write clickbait articles about identity politics. Oh well, try again next time.
Do or do not. There is no try.
This strategy of using controversial political takes as damage control to get the audience riled up and forget what even they are defending or attacking has gone on for too long. And it looks like it really has, because the people aren't falling for it anymore. You can't lesbian your way out of this one, Leslie.
As a queer person?
And believe me, she tried. The Acolyte showrunner and creator has not been pulling her punches in driving up controversy, as she is now calling the Acolyte the gayest Star Wars and stating that R2-D2 is canonically lesbian. Conveniently, she is not really bragging about the reception of her show, as lo and behold, her Frozen-inspired fanfiction is pretty much despised, except for critics, of course. My take on that is either they are paid shills like some are saying, but more likely, they are just scared to trash the show that is being hailed as this new LGBT feminist workhorse for Disney, out of fear of getting called homophobes and misogynists or whatever. Or they just have really bad taste, who knows. And I get it, no one likes to be called sexist by a Hollywood executive with hundreds of millions of dollars to her name, but that is what Kathleen Kennedy is doing right now in defense of the Acolyte. But they can only get away with this one for a few weeks because the show keeps going on and it keeps getting worse, and you can't keep the conversation away forever from the actual quality of the show. Episode 3 is a mess for many reasons. It is a backstory for the sisters, the antagonist and the protagonist of the show, and it is set up like this ominous unveiling of their terrible history, but it falls flat from every angle. The first one being visually, and I don't get where the apparent $180 million are going for this show, because sure as hell not towards art direction. Every set piece is bland, dull, unimaginative, and in general lacks the Star Wars charm which is a staple of the franchise's most famous locations. This episode's location is Brandok, the home of space witches, who are basically a toned-down version of Night Sisters. An eerily similar matriarchal group of Force users who seem strongly connected to each other. They perform rituals and chants and use some wild form of the Force. And boy, I mean wild. We find out that the twins were conceived using the Force by these 2 witches. So basically a Star Wars version of artificial insemination. No, I am not kidding, and I'm starting to get why this is supposed to be the gayest Star Wars yet. It would be pretty hard to top that. But anyway, the sisters are constantly bickering and being annoying as hell, and participate in a ritual with the worst chant I have ever heard.
The power of one. The power of two. The power of many.
But they are interrupted by 4 Jedi, who sniffed out the Force-sensitive children. And Leslie Headland kept going on about how this show explores the darker side of the Jedi Order, with villains who are not really villains. So naturally, my initial reaction was that this will be the part where the Jedi separate the child from her family or something. But no. Osha literally goes out of her way to disclaim she likes them, wants to be like them, and hates this lesbian space witch club, which I don't blame her for. The Jedi are very clear about this being tied to her choice and free will, which is quite rich, considering ominous Force users are clearly training them, grooming them into beings with immense power and no caution as towards that power ending up in the wrong hands. But you do you, Trinity. Point is, the children are tested by the Jedi, and even though she is being coerced into purposefully failing the test, Osha stands her ground and makes her choice of becoming a Jedi. After some deliberation, one of her mothers accepts it and she prepares to leave, but is interrupted by her sister, who attempts to murder her, burns up the place and apparently kills everyone in the fortress. She also falls to her death, but obviously survives. How? We don't know.
A good question. For another time.
And Osha goes on to be a weird daughter figure for this Jedi Master she just met. And for some reason, these Jedi are bent on taking this child. Even though she looks the same age as Anakin in Episode 1, she is riddled with trauma, attachment, dogmatic practices, fear, and confusion. Compared to her, Anakin was the most mentally stable candidate for a Padawan.
And not just the men, but the women. And the children, too. And I slaughtered them like animals. I hate them!
And considering he was a slave and left her slave mother to her death on Tatooine, that says a lot. It's almost like the people who wrote this haven't watched Star Wars yet. Oh wait, they haven't. And this goes one of two ways. The first one being, the Jedi actually offered this free choice and May decided to burn everyone to death, cry about it for a few years, and exact revenge for absolutely nothing, redacting the entire mystery surrounding her motivations, and making the first 2 episodes a pointless red herring, while also rendering all of the director's not so subtle comments about morally grey characters and the darker side of the Jedi redundant. And let's face it, that would be pretty bad. Which is why I lean towards the blatantly obvious option 2, that the Jedi, or some of the Jedi, provoked her or incited some kind of a conflict that resulted in the death of the witches, becoming complicit in the tragedy and providing an actual reason for May's revenge. The problem with option 2 is exactly what I said, it's blatantly obvious. I would be highly surprised if this show wasn't building towards a confrontation between the sisters when this is shined light upon. Otherwise, this meditating Jedi just euthanized himself for literally no reason. And hear me out, anime Sith guy might even be one of the lesbian witches. Judging by the complexity of the seemingly toddler-written monologue at the end of the first episode.
An acolyte kills without a weapon. An acolyte kills the dream.
And the poetic heights of this one.
What have you done? What have you done? What have you done?
It is entirely possible. But I guess we'll find out, because for some reason after all these years I am dedicated to watching this desecrated franchise. And that reason is I want it to be better. I love Star Wars, it was my childhood, it inspired my passion for movies and science fiction. But that doesn't mean I will not criticize bad products, and Disney keeps pumping them out. Lastly, I just started this channel, and we are already at 400 subscribers, which is amazing, thank you for that. So please don't hesitate to subscribe to my channel for more content on Star Wars, pop culture and all things movies and TV shows. And while you're here, why not like the video and why not watch my review of the first 2 episodes of The Acolyte and this deep dive into Disney Star Wars as a whole? You might as well, right? Thanks for watching and see you soon.